Motorcycle tricycles have been very popular in Pakistan in recent years. The models are basically the same as those in China. You don't have to think twice about that. It must have been introduced by some mysterious power in the East. That's why this happened today. This kind of motorcycle tricycle is very popular in the local area. In addition, Pakistan itself has the ability to produce motorcycles. So after they copied it, they made a brand of their own. That creates more sustainable economic income locally. Today's video is a video of assembling 3 wheels of a motorcycle. This is not an assembly line. It was a local distributor. And today's video shows you how to take a bunch of components and build it into a fully functional 3-wheeled motorcycle. So first of all, here we look at the chassis frame, which is upside down. After all, it's not an assembly line, so it's feet up. Wheel facing up. We all know that overloading happens here in Pakistan. So the leaf springs are made to strengthen the middle. These springs are installed directly in the middle of the plate yellow. Once again, play a role as a carrier. Play a certain shock absorption effect. The specific installation location docking is like this. The rolls on both sides of the board are responsible for installing on the fixed claws on both sides of the frame. This structure is actually exactly the same as our common electric tricycles. These are 2 serious shock absorbers. The manufacturer is very humane and awesome. I actually sent another full-size spare tire. This thing looks like a tie rod. Adjust a tie rod for the rear axle. The screw head at one end is screwed directly on the frame. The distance between the front and rear axles can be adjusted. The specific installation location is here. This tie rod looks like a brake. This lever should be the handbrake, attached to the brake lever. Installing it in reverse suddenly makes me a little unaccustomed to it. This is the brake lever connected to the front foot pedal. Install the foot pedal here. Such a big tricycle still uses pull wires. I feel that the braking in the later stage will definitely generally this kind of big tricycle. Many of them are oil brakes of that kind. The front is a main pump. There are sub-pumps on both sides of the rear wheel. Of course, the premise is also a drum brake. The relative braking effect is much better than this tie rod type. In fact, notice that this installation environment is also very special in the dubbing of a container. Just 2 plots of land that big. More economic benefits can be created. The rear axle is the rear axle of the tricycle. Bring us sharper. The rear axle is fixed directly to the steel plate by 2 U-bolts. The upper part of the U-bolt is screwed with a non-slip nut. The overall details are still very good. Continue to install the shock absorber at the other end. A non-slip nut U-bolt here. The 2 lures in front of the rear axle are connected to the tie rod. It's these 2 rods. There are 4 rods in total. There are 2 on the left and right sides. It's held down by these 4 levers. You can ensure that the rear axle will not move back and forth. The fixing screw at one end of the tie rod is in this position. This place belongs to the brake rocker. This brake is a typical drum brake. At this moment, start installing the drive shaft. First of all, the sharpener is connected. On both sides of the drive shaft, there are universal joints. The universal joint at the other end and the transmission shaft are not fixed together. The spool shaft of the universal joint is worn directly inside the drive shaft. There is a certain fit gap that can be moved back and forth to prevent certain changes due to the frame when loading heavy goods. So you stretch the shaft. Now start installing the wheels. The iron hub has a rubber cover on the outside. It looks like aluminum alloy wheels. To be honest, this venue is indeed too small to install. Can't block the wind or the rain. Simple. I can only rely on a container to block the direct sunlight. This is the front of the car. It has handlebar pressure bearings installed. What about this kind of bearing? It's a conical thrust bearing, can carry high loads. General trucks will use this bearing. Look at the front and rear bumpers. 4 steel pipes are welded, regardless of the thickness of the pipe wall. The whole thing is pretty scary. Look at this. The material of the former Niva should be stainless steel. What about the upper part of Niva? There's a sign. It resembles the logo of an eagle. I have seen this sign on many two-wheeled motorcycles in China before. I don't know if it was introduced directly. That's a front wheel. It looks a lot like a 14-inch wheel. Also used are iron wheels. A drum sand design. Trucks usually have iron wheels. It's not that aluminum alloy wheels don't work. Iron wheels are more cost-effective. The iron rim has stronger load-bearing capacity, and it can also prevent the later bearings from going abroad if the tire is half flat and it hurts to walk. You can also hit it with a sledgehammer. However, aluminum alloy wheels do not have this characteristic. Install the headlight fixing claw in reverse. Then, the upper connecting plate. So this is the left-right turn. The big man with feet next to him doesn't know if he is here to learn or to find excitement. Most likely also a customer. Apprentices usually don't do this. Otherwise, the master who loaded the car will definitely recruit him with one kick. The speakers are very personal. Equipped with 2 speakers, this color is very beautifully plated. 2 more lights were installed. Look at this situation. The lights are headlights, and these 2 on the left and right sides are auxiliary small lights. It is estimated that it is similar to the Life-on motorcycle at that time, a motorcycle with 3 lights, 1 big one and 2 small ones. Looking at this situation, it should be more than 3 lights. 2 more were installed on the upper bunk of Niva. At least 5 lights according to this quantity. This is the meter handle. It's an old mechanical horse watch connected to the front wheel with a wire. Simulate actual speed conditions by rotating the gears. The handlebars are loaded in advance. Look carefully. There are also handguards on the left and right sides. Left hand clutch, right hand front brake. Even the rear mirrors are installed in advance. This color is really bright. I don't know if the old iron has found it. Like the car here in Pakistan. No matter what the car is, it's everywhere. Absolute leather plating that can plate leather. You can brighten it up. Definitely brighten it up. It's not going to be that gray. Anyway, as long as it's their car, it has always given people a feeling of being bright in the eyes. After each place is packed, put a plastic film on again. It looks like a brand new car. And this is where you start routing. The speed limit of a tricycle is not the same as that of an ordinary mainly the back part has been lengthened. You also need to make a split shape. The speed limit of tricycles is generally 2-stage, which is connected to the rear tail lights. There is a separate plug-in for this part of the speed limit. Start installing the other speed limits here. Left-right steering. Power lock wire. The meter line also includes 4 light lines installed. This clue installation is relatively simple. Just do a simple docking pair plug. Pack all the inserts into the large lampshade. All as a preparation. The headlights are not on yet. Nothing specific. Check the inside of the headlights. It is very likely that this light is also an LED light. We all know that the lights of motorcycles used to be halogen lamps, that yellow light. At night, it doesn't mean it's very bright, but now it's basically LED lights. When I first saw this, I was a little confused. I really don't know where he installed it. But after seeing it later, I realized that this thing turned out to be a headlight stand. Pay attention to the installation location here. Is this a protection against the headlights? Collision prevention. If you look at this headlight now, you can see that it is an LED light. Such a whole sentence feels like a fighting atmosphere. Now I'm thinking about this question. Now, I had this idea. If this tricycle collides with someone else, if the front part is rear-ended, so many lights all at once, the cost of maintenance is estimated to be not cheap. I don't know if this engine is made by them or labeled. Anyway, many domestic engines generally change their trademarks when they arrive in Pakistan. Once the signs on the left and right are changed, they become engines made in Pakistan. Notice how this engine also has a carburetor. It's not an EFI machine. The old carburetor machine is very convenient to repair. Unlike today's EFI engines, what curvature position sensor? Intake pressure sensor? Throttle position sensor? There is an oxygen sensor, various sensors. The fuel tank is also equipped with an oil pump. Anyway, the function is troublesome. There is no such old-fashioned machine for easy maintenance. A carburetor machine like this won't catch fire. There are usually two ways of thinking. One is kerosene and the other is coal fire. If there is no oil, change the game. Spark plugs without fire. Igniter inspection. It's okay at once. It's very simple to repair. This is a reverser. One end is connected to a universal joint. The other end of the gimbal is connected to the drive shaft. The power generation shaft of the universal joint is directly inserted into the drive shaft. No need to fix. The connections between them are active. Start connecting the engine line at this point. So here's the negative line. Negative electrode. Direct ironing. Fasten the engine bracket again. Install the shift lever. That's the shift pedal with the left foot. It is fastened to the gear shaft of the engine by a screw. Start installing other wiring. These things lead to the normal start of his engine, and that square is the regulator. Charge the battery and adjust the voltage. Electrically started motorcycles generally have a regulator that controls the battery voltage. One more igniter. Another one is a high voltage wire spark plug. So much stuff. This is the starter battery. It's still fastened with this elastic rubber band. Prevent movement. Red is positive. Green and black belong to the negative electrode. This thing belongs to the start relay. Since the current passing through the start switch is relatively small, you need to use this start relay to convert the small current to control the large current. This allows the motorcycle to start normally. This is a side panel on the left and right sides. You can also call it a decorative board. Generally, the first 3 or 4 years of a new car will have this decorative plate. When the car is repaired, this board will not continue to be installed. Now start installing the exhaust pipe and exhaust silencer. Look at this engine displacement, like a 150 machine. A gasket needs to be added to the exhaust port position, mainly to prevent air leaks. The exhaust pipe of the tricycle is relatively long. It goes all the way to the back of the frame. Its connection to the body is not a hard connection. It is used to hang the machine with this rubber leather case. Its function is to prevent vibration. This position belongs to the clutch connection clutch cable. The throttle cable is connected to the oil needle of the carburetor, so as to achieve the speed control of the engine. And here's the cable for the throttle, designed to be very user-friendly, prevent it from being unable to start in cold weather. This is the starting lever for the foot. Motorcycle tricycles generally have 2 starting methods. If the first battery is normal, it can be started with electricity. The second is usually started by footstepping, like our rural hometown. New motorcycles can be started electrically for the first year. After a year, the battery is broken and can't ignite, so it can't be done. It can only be started by footstepping. This is a high-pressure pack. This big black plastic case belongs to an air filter. The rear is bolted to prevent movement. Install the side panel on the right. Also includes a decorative panel on the upper right. The sign on the side panel says 200. It is estimated that this engine is a 200 machine. An electronic fan is also installed at the front of the body. The function is to provide cooling for the engine. The temperature here in Pakistan is relatively high all year round. Plus this engine, it's air-cooled, not water-cooled. So it was really important to have an electronic fan. This is the fuel tank. Looking at the capacity of this fuel tank, it is estimated that there are more than 10 liters. No problem. Start connecting the cable with the rear pole. This is the operation handle. At this point, the installation of the carriage will begin. Now, motorcycle compartments are basically spliced together like electric three-wheels. First, a base plate, and then a backrest. These things are connected and fixed by bolts. Before, the base plate and backrest were integrated. However, if it is transported in this way, it is very troublesome as this kind of flat panel docking. It seems that this version is still the latest version 2024, which is very conspicuous. Install the side arms on the left and right sides and the back door. The car is basically installed at this point. The next thing you do is you screw on the retaining bolts. This nut is also very good. It is an all-inclusive nut. In fact, Pakistan's old iron is also very willing to cut. Based on this situation, it is estimated that there is also not only the backrest, but also the headrest. Pakistan's old iron is indeed attentive. Yes, there is actually an awning, but look at the thickness of this awning. It's a little transparent. And that's it for the Pakistani-style scooter, and that's all for today's video. I'm Bro. Thanks for your attention. See you next time.